Is Barron Trump destined to be the future president of the United States of America? Or does destiny hold other ordeals and challenges and trials and tribulations in store for him? Let's look at the astrology and the esoteric analytics to decode all of this and answer these questions. Let's go. All right, we are in a new age. A new America is coming into being in front of our eyes. The world is shifting. World alliances and orders are shifting like never seen before for literally hundreds of years that we haven't seen this massive seismic shifts that are happening right now in the world. And at the very center of this is the new America that is coming into being. And in this process of the coming into being of the new America, one person has been, obviously, apart from Donald Trump, who is the focal point and the center of all of this transformative energy in America. But one person has been in the limelight, has been receiving a lot of attention in this transformation. And that person is Barron Trump, the son of Donald and Melania. And he has been, he has been seen and experienced by the collective consciousness, by people have been noticing him. Like, noticing is the right term. Like, you can't but notice this person. There's a very special person. You have to say he's a special young person. This much is clear. He has been drawing not just the kind of attention that you get from being, a celebrity or the child of the president or whatever. Like, think about the daughters of Obama. It's not that level. It's different. It's completely different. It is different. People are just noticing that there is something different about this person. There's something ethereal, something spiritual almost, right? That is, ineffable. It's hard to say what it is, but you just need to look at the what people are posting. So many people are posting pictures and images and like posts about Barron Trump. And he's not even 18, he's turned 18, but people are saying this is the future president. He will be the future emperor, not even president. He will be the emperor of the United States. So what's happening? We should be able to, and obviously we are, because that's what we do here, and that's what Dr. V is here for. We will look at the astrology. We will decode the astrology. We will look at the esoteric forces, the spiritual forces in the background to understand what's going on and to understand what destiny has in store for Barron Trump. So this video is going to be pretty hard hitting because you're going to find out, and you're going to find out things that will blow your mind, right? So let's get into it. But there's one thing I have to tell you. There's one thing I have to tell you before as a disclaimer, that when decoding the chart of a young person, which is, okay, he's not a child, he's an adult, but he's still young, right? He's like 18 at the time of shooting this video. So when decoding the chart of a young person, there are certain things there's certain, principles that you have to follow. If you're following the universal dharma, the dharmic principles prescribed by Christ consciousness, right? If you're following the ethical principles, then there are certain things, certain safeguards, like certain, you can't, even if you see certain things in a chart, you shouldn't say them, right? Because, for instance, let's say, and this goes as well, if you're an astrologer and if a young person comes to you, sometimes people come to you with a child, they say, can you help me? I have I want to understand my relationship with my child, right? Astrologer who's not schooled or who's no ethics, he will say something like, oh, something bad's going to happen to the child, You cannot say that. You're not supposed to say that, right? You're not supposed to say that because it's a field of probabilities. And by saying something like this, you're actually helping manifest that bad thing coming into being, right? Now, the same thing is, and some astrologers have no scruples like that. They just do that. And then afterwards ask for remedies for money or whatever. Like, this is the lowest of the low, right? So, be careful in general. When you go to astrologers, they have a lot of power over you. You have to be careful. Choose your astrologers wisely. A good astrologer can help you advance in life like nobody else, right? By the way, you can work with me in the links below. You can always find consultations and so on and so forth. But a bad astrologer can throw you off. Be very careful about that. That's the disclaimer. That's set. So we're going to be careful. In some of the things that I see, I will not tell you the full picture. But that's okay. That's okay. You will still get a lot. You'll still get a lot, which will be incredible. Make sure to watch this video till the end. So, Barron Trump. Let's look at Barron Trump. Barron Trump as I said, there's something spiritual, something ethereal, something different about him, right? It's not normal. Like, this is not just a normal energy. There's been a lot of omens around him too, right? A lot of ominous things been happening. I'll give you one example. People have unearthed this novel from the 19th century, right? It's from 1889. There's a novel that's called Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, right? I kid you. This is the actual title. Barron Trump's, but with an R, with one R, right? Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. It's a novel from 1889, over 100 years ago, 100-something years ago. And in this novel, there is a character. The character is called Barron Trump. He lives in New York City, and he lives in something called Trump Castle. Not Trump Tower, but Trump Castle, right? They didn't have high sky-rise towers, castles yet in the 19th century, so they could only imagine castles, right? He's called Trump. He lives in Trump Castle. And his mentor is a guy called Don. Don, right? Donald, right? Don is his mentor. And this guy, he goes on, Barron Trump, he goes on an adventure. He goes on this big adventure. He meets all of these, kind of fantastical creatures in all of these different realms. He goes through the underground, he goes inside the earth. He goes and then he eventually goes to Russia, and he meets the master of all masters there. Some kind of figure, fantastical figure. And he figures out a lot of huge things about the world, right? So, and he has this huge story, right? Like that the whole world is moved by this story. Before you say like, okay, this is a strange, weird coincidence. Why you spend time talking about this? Dr. V, you're crazy. Why are you talking about a novel from the 19th century, right? But this is not a coincidence. There aren't any coincidences, right? There are serendipities and synchronicities. There's, time is aligned, and time is aligned across what we perceive as linear time. There's 4D and 5D, and things are connected. We know that precognition exists. We know that precognitive perception exists. We know that people have visions of the future, right? So how difficult is it to understand, or how difficult is it to imagine that a person in the 19th century who wrote this novel, right, may have had dreams, precognitive visions and dreams, right, and seeing things of the future, right, and hearing things from the future. Obviously, in their mind, in their perception, a lot of the things will not make sense that are coming from the 21st century, century and a half later. A lot of the things will make no sense for them, right? So they will translate it in what makes sense for them, right? They will see, he spoke to these weird creatures and stuff. These creatures that he speaks to, they could be UAP. They could be the UAPs that we now know exist everywhere, right? They could be the extraterrestrial intelligences that we now know, confirmed by the governments, right? That they're there, right? And so on and so forth, right? The tower, obviously, the castle is a tower, is a skyscraper, and so on and so forth. Why am I saying this? Because this is just the fact that somebody in the 19th century gets these premonitions and writes this novel, and people are finding this, again, gives you just a pointer that this is a person who has some important destiny, some important role to play. This is not your ordinary person. He's not just an ordinary guy, right? And everybody's noticing. People are noticing already. He's turned 18, and everybody's noticing that this person is different. Something's happening. So that's why, we should look at his astrology. That's what we do here, right? We look at the astrology. We look at the astrology, and we're going to see, obviously, in the astrology, we're going to see a lot. And again, I'm going to be careful with how much I reveal to you. But even though I'm going to be careful with how much I reveal to you, you're going to find out so much, right? Which leads so much further than all of these speculations, right? All right. So here's a chart of Barron Trump, and we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive this time. We're going to look at, at this in some detail to figure out what's happening here, right? So first of all, we've got a grand trine, which kind of stands out. You got this big kind of blue triangle here. This is very special, very beautiful aspect figure to have, and it's between important placements. It's not just something. It's sun and moon. Okay, sun and moon, pretty much perfect grand trine, and Saturn, very, very important. Kind of the three most important planets in some ways, right? The three most important celestial objects that you can have are standing in this beautiful grand trine, and this is a very, very harmonizing energy between your masculine, your feminine, and you're kind of the yin and yang in life, and the challenges and obstacles that you have to overcome in order to grow, and just generally what creates harmony in your personality and in your character. There's going to be a lot of harmony in the personality and the character. You see, as we're growing up, a big task, a big challenge is to bring into like harmony our inner yin and yang principles, right? The anima and the animus, as it's called in the Jungian psychology, right? Which is basically the two parts of you that are the different sides of the expression of the masculine and the feminine energy, right? The night and the day and the night energy and so on. So, and a lot of people struggling a long time. Typically, you're going to be starting to with this, and then throughout adulthood, in teenage time, when you're a teenager, you're struggling with this. Through adulthood, you go through many different phases, wrestling with this, go through relationships, and in order to figure out, and then sometime. Typically, for men, it's around 40, it settles, it falls into place and it settles, right? This is kind of the typical timeline. For some people, it takes longer. For others, it's like it never falls into place, right? Especially people who have hard aspects of sun and moon, maybe they're always struggling with this, their identity and bringing harmony and balance into their being, right? Now, with this very, very unique chart figure that Barron Trump has, he's kind of born with this right away, like he's kind of already in balance in himself, right? His personality is already fully in harmony and fully balanced, right? Which is one factor why with 18, he already looks and seems and appears so mature, right? He appears like extremely mature. It's almost like he's already fully adult, right? He's not, obviously, he still has a lot to learn, but his energies are already in complete balance, something which usually takes a long time for people to happen, right? For everybody else. And again, for not many people, it doesn't happen at all, right? They always struggle with this. Now, and this is a prerequisite to become important or to take on the role that you're supposed to take on in life, put it this way, right? It's a prerequisite. And here, you got that given, it's a given. And what is it? The energy, it's on the one hand, it's a Pisces, it's a lot of Pisces ascendant and Pisces sun, right? The last degree of Pisces, the last degree is always the realist. It's the one where it gets realized, right? Pisces principle is about sacrifice, self-sacrifice, right? So the martyr, it's like the martyr, right? The martyr who sacrifices himself, right? Or the idealized person is the last degree of Pisces, right? It's like the ephemeral ideal, like the spiritual ideal, the martyr, right? Who has the soul of the missionary, who believes in great principles, who believes in the higher truth, right? His soul is the one who believes in higher truth, right? And who is very, very comfortable with authorities and with structures in life, right? Obviously, he's already kind of super powerful. He's like literally, kind of the most powerful 18-year-old, maybe. He's placed somewhere where he's already in this realm of power, immense power, right? And very, very comfortable with maneuvering through power and structures, right? And all of that through government. He has access to all of government right away. Now, what is the character? What is the character? Let's look a little bit deeper. And we're going to see the sun. The sun tells us always a lot. The sun is with these asteroids. I add the asteroids for those who don't know. Most of you are going to know if you know my channel. Those who don't know, I always go deeper than 99% of astrologers, maybe 99.9% of astrologers, because I add all the asteroids, fixed stars, and it gives us so much more nuance into the story, right? It gives us so much more insight. Now, we look at his chart, and we're going to see his sun stands with white knight, okay? White knight, Themis. Themis was the Greek goddess of justice. Justitia, another, justice, means justice. Bellerophon, it means the figure who can accomplish greatness, great things. So we have justice, and white knight. So the knight who fights for justice, the white knight who fights for justice, is his personality, is his center of his personality, right? And then the ascendant, which is how he appears and what people see, right? What people see is the ascendant, and the ascendant you got imperatrix. You got Lumiere, you got aura, which I've been telling you, he has aura, right? Gravitas, aura. And what else? You got Mahakala. Mahakala is the force of Shiva, which overcomes evil, which fights against evil. We're going to see this repeat again. And Forbes is, well, the richest people in the world, right? He's also part of obviously the money elites of the world, right? He's part of the money elites, but he has an kind of imperial demeanor, right? And there's a great aura around it. And there's this recurring theme of fighting against evil, just come again and again in his chart. I'm going to show you what I mean. But before that, there is this other constellation that's very important, which is difficult. Everybody has challenges, right? Obviously, one major challenge in his chart is around love, right? Is a major challenge. So you see here, he's born with the Venus, Neptune, and Chiron, okay? Chiron, there's a wound around love. There's a certain pain around love. There's a lot of very idealized experience of love, right? He's idealized. His parents idealize him, greatly idealize him, right? They're looking up to him as like the ideal son. But they don't give him the kind of love that is affection, that is closeness, that is just basically being able to express love in a very mundane way, in an affectional way, right? That he's not getting that. Saturn is in a direct opposition to Venus, right? Saturn opposite Venus and also to Chiron. So he's going to suffer a lot. He's going to be suffering a lot, even though on the outside he's this kind of magnanimous being, but he's going to be suffering a lot from just, feelings of very, very secret feelings. This is the 12th house, right? Secret feelings of not being valuable, not being worthy, not being, vulnerabilities and so on and so forth that people have. I'm not going to go too much into the personal stuff. This is not a personal reading for Barron Trump. If he needs a personal consultation, he can find me. But this is not a personal consultation. This is about what the people want to know, what the world wants to know. So I'm going to leave aside a lot of the personal things, even though I started to go a little bit into them, but I'm not going to go deeper. But I will share on the things that the people want to know, right? The people have a right to know or want to know, right? And what is that? Well, he's fighting. He's a fighter. I said this many times. I said this already several times. He's willing to fight for these great ideals, right? I said he had these ideals. He's born with these amazing ideals. What are the ideals? If you look at them, there is the asteroids that determine them. Camelot, Arthur. You see here, Camelot and Arthur is here. And champion, Arthur, Camelot, champion, right? He idealizes the heroes. He idealizes the great heroes. And he is willing to fight for these ideals. So you got the Mars here, right? So I'm going to put a very strange note. You got the Mars here, which is in a trine to that Venus, right? And this Mars is with Bellona, war, right? The god of war. Regal, fixed star Regal, success in war, right? Apostle, fighting for Christ. The apostles fought for Christ and they died for Christ, right? All of them, apart from one, fought and died as martyrs, right? And then you have Mithras. Mithras is the Persian, Iranian god of sun, of sunlight, right? Of destroying the deception and the lies and the mendacities with sun and sunlight, right? That's Mithras. So you got that here too. He's fighting. He's ready to fight. He's willing to fight, right? For his ideals, and he's ready to fight for what is true, right? The higher truth, and for these heroic ideals, right? So all of this we got. So we got this. He's he's kind of a figure that is ready to sacrifice himself, and he is ready to fight for these great ideals. He fights for justice. What is the outcome of this going to be? What is he fighting against? You're going to ask yourself, who is he fighting against? Why is he fighting? Who's he fighting against? Who does he need to fight against? Isn't the world going into a direction where his father is a president, he never has to fight for anything? Isn't that his destiny? Well, destiny always has challenges and trials and tribulations in store, and things change and evolve, and we go through cycles. We go through lots of different cycles, and he's a very young person. So we actually see America here with Chiron. So America and China, oddly, with Chiron. So America is actually something, America is a place that will be very hurtful for him eventually. That can be very hurtful for him, right? There can be a necessary suffering or a pain that he has to go through with regards to America. Why? We can see this, we can answer this when we look at the MC. The MC shows us the final role and function of a person. And here's where I'm going to be careful, but I'm going to tell you a couple of things. So the MC is absolutely telling. The midheaven, right? The midheaven, it tells you the final destiny and purpose of a person. And he's got Pluto here, dark powers, dark forces. Where are these dark forces? In Washington. Washington, dark forces in Washington. Who is there? Soros. You see here? Soros. Soros stands for the globalists. The globalists, right? Soros is obviously, he's the leader of the globalists currently, but he's also archetypically, he stands for the globalist per se, right? Or that the cabal. There is a cabal of people who have certain plans, which we've talked about in this channel, and we will talk about much more in future. By the way, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to this channel and to like and to comment. Comments are very important. Helps to grow the channel, and it helps to get the word out, and helps to make this channel bigger. This is a small channel still. We're just starting out with this, and we need to get this word out. It's very important, and it's very appreciated for you to comment, right? And also, go and see ultrasapien.xyz, where you're going to have access to a lot of things that we're launching, a lot of ways to get engaged in the ecosystem of sapiential content, of wisdom content, in the wisdom revolution that we're creating, Ultra Sapien. There's going to be an app that allows you to get spiritual and astrological guidance. There is a course, there are several courses coming where you can learn all of these things. You can get beta access to go to Ultra Sapien XYZ. And make sure to comment and like this video as well. Now, what was I saying about the final role and function of Barron Trump? We see Soros here, Washington and Soros. Washington, the globalists in Washington, and the dark powers in Washington. He has to fight against them. He has to fight against them, and this fight is not an ordinary fight. This is conjunct, you see all of this is exactly on his MC. This is conjunct the galactic center. Right? Galactic center is in the 25th degree of Sagittarius. Whatever is on the galactic center acquires importance of a galactic order, of like the highest order. It's so important that they're going to be seeing us from, beyond Earth. The other intelligences are going to be looking at this, and they're going to be watching this. That's how important it is. Okay? So there is a fight that takes place in Washington with dark powers. And there's what else? There's Saint Michael, the angel, the archangel who defeats evil. There's Hanuman. Hanuman is the same kind of archetypal energy, similar archetypal energy in the Indian canon, right? Hanuman defeats Ravana together with Sri Ram, right? He fights against demonic entities. Saint Michael is obviously the great archetype of this energy, right? The fighter against the holy angel that fights against evil, right? So you got Hanuman and Saint Michael, right? Fighting against demonic energies. You got Pluto, you got Washington, you got galactic center, you got Christ, Kristen is here, and two times, Christa and Kristen, fighting for Christ and fighting for the Christians is here, and fighting for Christ consciousness, the higher principle of Christ. Not even Christians per se, but the principle of Christ, right? Which is what is noted here. And then you got two other things here which I will not talk about, because it's better not to talk about them. As I said before, it's better to not let everything, speak out everything. It's better not to speak out everything. But what I have shown you here is that this man, we should all be praying for him. We should be praying for him. He's going to have all of this stuff that I said, this is the far future. The chart shows you the far, far future. Far future, right? Until there's so many things that have to happen until the story even gets that far, right? We're talking about mid-21st century, right? There's still a lot of things that have to happen until we get to that place. And, he's going to have, for now, he's going to be dealing with real estate businesses, and he's going to try and build some real estate stuff. He's going to have a lot of lessons there. His Saturn is in the 5th house, so he's going to have some hard lessons to do with investments and speculations and romance and so on and so forth, education and so on. He has also indicated in several ways. And that's going to be fine, because he will integrate it, he will grow, and so on and so forth. And later on, much later on, there will come a time when this person, right? When this person, Barron Trump, he's going to be in this massive, large fight. He's going to lead the fight for justice in Washington against very dark forces that will be there at that time. That will be, that will have the power at that time. And that's written in his destiny. So we can all, is what I'm saying, and he will be fighting. I showed you clearly, beyond any reasonable doubt, he will be fighting for justice. He will be fighting for justice. He will be fighting for the light, right? So this doesn't mean that he himself is now, absolved of any need to learn and to grow. And so, it's already in my chart. No, you need to work. You need to work hard. You need to work hard, and you need to acquire the what I just said. It's written in your chart. But if you're listening, if the ether is out there bringing this to you, what I just said, it's written in your chart, but you still need to work for it. You still need to acquire and attain it and earn it. You still need to earn it. You still need to work for it, and you still need to earn it. You need to realize that potential that's written in the chart. But when you do, the celestial alignment will be ordained such that you will come into that role. Now, this is it for us. I'm not going to go further and deeper. I'm not going to say about the final outcomes and so on and so forth, which God knows best. We have certain signs here and there, but it's best to leave these things open. And on the way, we can decode. You have so much more to learn and decode and to grow together. So make sure to be, to get engaged. Write your comments, write your ideas. I want to create a community on here. This is going to be a community. You are early right now. You are amongst the early pioneers of this community, right? Go on Ultra Sapient XYZ and see what you can do there. And I wish you all the best for now. Be well, be blessed.